All right, this is my part 2 of the SLR handheld tuner programming the ZH2. I have a 2022 ZH2 that I have installed a ZX10R muffler, a Sprint air filter, and now I'm going to be utilizing the SLR handheld tuner. So in part 1, we unboxed, connected it to the ZH2, downloaded the mod file, and uploaded it to SLR, or the MyGenius product. So under the heading that I'm impatient, they say between 24 and 48 hours, but it was over the weekend, and they're apparently not open on Saturdays, so they actually got it taken care of today, which was basically, if you don't count the weekend in there, it was within 24 hours for sure. But I emailed them and asked them, if there was any update yet, and it wasn't. 2 hours later, they sent me an email saying that my new SLR mod had been sent to my MyGenius software manager. So again, following their procedures to the T, as they say in their email, it says plug in your SLR device to your laptop. Well, I have a desktop, and open the MyGenius client software. So we're going to take and plug the SLR USB side. We're going to plug that in to my computer. Computer's going to recognize it here. And then we're going to open the MyGenius software. So we're going to minimize this and move this over. Open the MyGenius software, which is down here. All right. So it's initializing communication. And let's move this just to the side. And click the file link, okay, and then scroll down to options, and make sure automatic server is okay. Yeah, it's already that was a step that they did in the previous configuration, or the previous step. So I went ahead and I'm just following the directions. Back to the main menu software, select upload to MyGenius. So we're going to select upload to MyGenius. Here. You can tell this is old software. All right, upload to MyGenius. All right, so let's move this up here and hit OK to confirm now. Okay, so I did that. And to search for files sent by manager, follow the prompts so that you can properly upload your new SLR ZH2 93 octane map to your SLR handheld device. Please follow the steps. Please follow the steps instructions. Real good grammar there. From the email we sent to you previously, so you can properly safely. Okay, so the steps are follow the prompts. Okay, write file to MyGenius. Write modified file to your MyGenius tool. I'm guessing this is what this is called, a MyGenius tool, and upload to your car. So connect your MyGenius device, which is already connected. We're going to click next. All right, well, we gotta, we forgot to turn our antivirus software off. So we're going to say yes to this. Do you want to search for files sent by your manager? We're going to say no, because we forgot to turn our antivirus software off. So let's go back in here. Oops, can't spell. Windows Security and Virus and Threat Protection. And we're going to turn real-time protection off. We should have done that before we got started. So I'm just going to go ahead and back out of here. I'm going to close the application. And I'm going to reopen the application. See, follow the directions. All right. All right, so we're gonna reopen it. Oops. All right. Back to. All right, we already know that under File Options, Automatic Server is installed. We're going to upload. We're going to say Next. Say Yes. And we want to say Yes. File download in progress. All right, the following files have been received from your manager. And something MyG. All right, gonna verify the file. All right, so select a file to upload to MyGenius tool. Okay. Next. All right, it says, do you want to upload this file to the MyGenius tool? So I guess this is the file it downloaded, and this is the map. All right, so we're gonna say confirm. File loading to the tool. So I guess the first step was it downloaded it from the manager to the computer, and now we're going to send it or upload it to the MyGenius tool. So at first I was kind of confused because I didn't understand the purpose of the MyGenius software, but that makes sense. Apparently the handheld tuning module doesn't have any kind of networking capabilities, so there's no way for it to upload or download files directly. All right, it says process completed successfully, and we're going to click close. All right, so we're done at this point. So it's reinitializing communication. All right, so the steps aren't in here for doing my info, so I'm going to click on info and see what it says from the device, just to see if it says anything about the map. Okay, so yep, there it is. Select the module to more information, and let's see, that should be SLR ZH2 93 octane map. Okay, all right. So that looks like it's there. So we're ready to write this to the computer. So we're going to close this, and then we're going to exit the application, and we're going to disconnect the USB, and we're going to move on out to the bike, and let's see what happens. All right, I realized that I forgot to hit the record button earlier, so I'll recap while this is programming what steps that I took. You'll already see that the ECU says it is programming. It's not quite halfway finished, but in my infinite wisdom, I didn't hit the record button. So let's recap. I'll go ahead and recap what I've done so far. In part one of the video, I extracted the information from the ECU per the instructions to the handheld device, and then I uploaded it through the MyGenius software on my local local desktop computer. It says laptop, but you can use any computer as long as it has a USB 2 or above connector. So it's just reminds you in the documentation for flashing the ECU is to make sure that you're connected to a battery tender and it's charging, which it is currently. And I just now noticed that the light is red on my charger, indicating that there is a draw that's taking place during this process. Because the bike is turned on and it's doing something. So the battery tender is charging the battery. So there is a certain amount of draw. So if you had a weak battery, I would see that that would be a problem if you didn't have it on a battery tender. So we have it on a battery tender. We plugged the handheld device back into the ODB connector, ODB2 connector, this is the new Euro type of connector. They provide a cable that connects the standard ODB2 connector to the Euro connector. And then of course you power the handheld device through a USB, and I've got it powered through a power brick. So the steps, it says after successfully loading the software to the handheld device, you follow the directions. Now, I noticed the directions on here were slightly different, or the things that occurred here happened so quickly that I wasn't able to see them on the programmer. After the device was powered on, the first option was already selected for work. I clicked select for OK, and then I selected the tune that it required, which was the tune that was loaded on here from the computer, the SLR 91 octane map. It said turn the key on, follow the steps, turn the key off, turn the key, wait, follow the steps, turn the key back on, and select it was the only map that was on the handheld device. And then we've selected OK, and this is where we're at. And you'll notice that there's various indicators on the dash flashing. You have your ride mode light is flashing, your KDS or KQS light is flashing. There's a dash underneath the gear indicator flashing, and your range and your temperature, depending, I guess, where you have this set. All of those indicators are flashing. The time is still currently correct. Everything else is turned. Looks like Bluetooth and things like that are still active as well. And the caution or alarm indicator for KQS and KLMC, which is your anti-lock brakes and traction control, things like that. All of those indicators are flashing, and I've saw a couple other videos, and that's atypical when the ECU is being written to. So now we're just waiting. It looks like we're not quite 3/4 of the way done. It says just make sure you don't interrupt this process, because if you interrupt this process, you could brick your ECU, and that would mean having to take it to a dealer, and they would have to replace the ECU or reprogram it somehow. They don't have that capability, and it's the owner's responsibility if you mess this up. So if you're queasy about doing something like this, and you're worried, you got kids or animals or anything, you want to make sure that you're in an area that you do not accidentally disconnect any of these cables, because if you do, your bike will be useless until you get the ECU replaced. And from what I understand, it's not fun to get to. It's up underneath the dash there. I just replaced the flasher relay for LED lights I put on the bike, and it's way up underneath there in a really tight area up there. So this is a small bike in comparison to my Concord 14. It's a very small bike in comparison. So there's not a lot of space. Since it's a naked bike, it's all out in the open. Every little nook and cranny is being utilized by something. The air intake is here. The filter is it takes up very little space up here. It's just a very compact bike in comparison to my Concord and my Harley that I had prior to that. So it's pretty interesting. I've always kidded it, seeing me on this bike is like looking at a watermelon on a toothpick. It's just, this bike is a lot of fun, and it doesn't really need any more horsepower. But we all have that need for speed. If you're watching this video, then you're curious too. So I'm anxious to be able to get it out once this is done, and see what kind of difference this makes. I'm pretty excited about it. I got the ZX10R muffler on the bike. I don't know if you can see it in the video there, but I have that posted in another set of pictures and videos. But this is supposed to give you somewhere between 200 and 220, 230 horsepower, something like that capability. That's all your mileage is gonna vary, obviously, from bike to bike. Sometime maybe in the spring or the summer, I will get this bike on a dyno and just see exactly how much horsepower it does make. All right, so we're getting close. Our progress bar is almost to the end here. Let's see what it says. So once this is done, there'll be a verification process that will take place. There'll be error detection that will take place. So we'll notice if there's anything changed. It'll probably will make us turn the bike off and back on again at some point. All right. Oh, there we go. All right. So all of our lights have stopped flashing. Our indicator for our ride mode is back selected. It's now telling us to turn off the dashboard or turn off the key. We're going to do that. We're going to wait for everything to shut down so we don't hear anything more coming from the bike. We're going to select OK. It says wait, operation in progress. Now we're going to switch on the dashboard, check the connections again. Again, it's just double checking, having you check and making sure you have the battery tender connected, make sure your USB is connected to your programming device, and make sure your device is connected to your ODB connector. Again, you don't want to interrupt any of this process. So we're going to switch the bike back on. We're going to wait for everything to stabilize. Fuel pump will stop. Everything's normal, and we're going to click OK again. And now it's going to say switch off the dashboard again. Okay, so you know we're following this to the T. So it seems like kind of redundant. We're turning things off and back on so many times, but that's all part of the process. So now it's off. We don't hear anything coming from the bike. We're going to click OK. Now it says run the errors deletion. We're going to say OK. We're going to switch back on the bike. So this is going to clear out any errors on the ECU, so there's no check engine light, things like that, I'm sure. All right, everything's back on. The bike's stabilized. We're going to click OK. Now it says switch off again. It's pretty funny that's having it turn off and turn on. Okay, we're going to wait till we don't hear anything anymore. We're going to click OK again. It says warning, please connect. Okay, so this is the same step that it wants you to do, just to verifying that you have everything connected. So we're going to click OK, and then we're going to switch the bike back on. Seems like a lot of on and off processes, but they indicate that's what takes place when you're programming. Just it wants to verify everything. All right, so everything's back on. We're having normal noises coming from the bike. We're going to click OK. So now it's going to communicate again. Now it says switch it off again. So we're going to switch it off. I'm going to wait till the logo goes off and we don't hear anything else coming from the bike. We're going to click OK. Now it says writing ECU is completed. Okay, so after successfully completion, you need to complete the arrow key. DT, if any, okay. So now at this point in time, we are done. It goes on to talk about if you need to take the bike in for service. It says always return your bike back to the original program, because otherwise you may void your warranty. The other thing it says in here also that I want to make note to, that if it says if your dealership performs any type of ECU update, firmware update to your ECU, the current tune that you currently have is for that particular version of the ECU programming. If for some reason you take your bike to the dealership and you don't disclose that, or they don't disclose that to you, you should ask, hey, was there any ECU updates done to the bike? Because if there are, you will not be able to use this particular tune to that bike, because this tune or this flash programming is to that bin file and that checksum of that file. So you will no longer be able to use that tune. You'll have to go through this process all over again, and they charge you $299 to do that. So just keeping that in mind if you take the bike into a dealership, and just make sure that you let them know that if they need to do an ECU update, you need to be informed of that and be prepared that you're going to be spending another $300 to reflash your computer. So this is all done. The power is off. We can disconnect the bike. We're going to disconnect the power, and we're going to disconnect the ODB connector. And we're just going to briefly start the bike and just make sure it runs properly. Hopefully the weather will be nice. We'll take it out tomorrow and give it a run and see if it makes much difference. All right, and we'll put our cap back on here and push this back down in here, put our seat back on, and we're done. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please post them to the forums or to the YouTube channel.